Right. Thank you, Carl. Right, we're now across the other side of the road. I'm going to walk our way down here to make the Ho1 video. If you watched the Ho2 video last week, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you didn't watch the Ho2 video last week, if you go back and watch it, this will then make sense. But what we're going to do now is walk down the road here, have a look at Ho1 with Paul. There's a couple of other bits he's going to point out to us on the way. So welcome back to Adventure 82, and we're off again.
The road is 10 or 15 feet above the level of the valley, and the sprawl from tunnels was just laid here.
Right,
so crushed.
So the Germans built this entire road, so all of Route de la Valle didn't exist until the Germans came over.
Edge of the valley. Do you know?
Okay, and then it was tarmac 1966, which they made it a main road.
1966. Yeah. It's a little memorial thing down there.
Oh, okay.
You know, the Royal Channel Island Yacht Club.
Yeah.
If you're looking out to sea, so you're facing Snowdon's Fort, on the right there's a beach I call the Pebbly Beach.
Yeah.
Go towards Del Cruz.
Yeah.
That used to be sand, and all those pebbles, that's the sprawl from Ho5.
Ah.
It was originally dumped in the harbour, and then after the war the States just dumped it on that beach.
That's quite cool to know. There we go. For this video, Erica's not too keen on dark dingy tunnels, so she didn't come with us today because of Ho2 and Ho1. However, so our resident photographer is Lydia, who you can see in front of me right now. Oh, Paul's found something. So is that the wall, is it? So what's over the side of that wall, sorry? Oh, it's like a big metal tank.
Yeah, that's the, I think it's the piece wall from the mushroom farm.
Because this was the Ho1, obviously Ho2 we've just done was a ration store, like I said. This was a munitions store, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they actually had munition in it, didn't they?
So that's the tank for the mushroom farm, I think that's...
Right, in case you don't know what Paul's talking about, this tunnel was pretty much complete, so because it's had other uses over the years. There was a mushroom farm in here till 2006. There's a few people in here now. One of them apparently is a panel beater, sheet metal. And in the 80s when I was a kid, it was actually used for storing hire cars. But not sure there'll be much good storing hire cars in there now. Our tourist attraction is slumped somewhat, but that's should we say a touchy subject between locals and states officials. So I won't brush on that one. What we'll do now though is we'll work our way down here towards Ho1. Also, on our way down here, I believe it's on the opposite side of the road. Paul will correct me in a minute now if I'm wrong, but there's the stone crusher, because the Germans actually were very efficient with their stuff. So they actually crushed the stone they removed from these tunnels and they used it to make their concrete, which is why there's not much of a spoil heap from these specific tunnels. But as you heard from Paul earlier, they didn't have that luxury with Ho5 because of the location, so that's all been dumped on a beach.
I think so, yeah. I can put in touch with people who know so much more about this than I do. I just keep a bit of scrap on here and there.
I mean, you look at the trees here and the depth of the valley.
These are all from the war.
Yeah.
None of these were planted before the war, or were here before the war.
You can see there how they would have quite easily remained undetected still, though.
Oh yeah,
from aeroplanes and stuff back then.
Nothing. I mean, any reconnaissance vehicle flying, aeroplane flying over wouldn't do anything. Are you aware there's an escape shaft up in the woods up there, which is still accessible?
No, I didn't know they had an escape shaft. No.
Yeah, when we go inside, you can actually climb out if you're. Well, I wouldn't suggest no. It's pretty ropey.
Yeah.
I've climbed in through the escape shaft.
Right. Well, we'll show you that from the inside.
The escape shaft for Ho2 is lost, but no one knows where it is.
Oh, okay. Because the escape shaft for Ho5, obviously, like I said in the last video,
that's actually really impressive.
I went up the stairs, but you wouldn't want to climb the metal stairs at the very top of the concrete ones. They look so dodgy.
It's the same here. There's stairs from the wall closed.
Right, this before the camera died I was going to show you, but we've got a new battery in, so we'll keep going for now. Thank you, plane. This is actually the pedestrian entrance, because unusually these didn't normally have separate pedestrian entrances. This one does. And what's really quite cool about this one, you've actually got the insignia left there on the top. Yeah, that's right. From the German engineers who built it. See, 1941, 1942.
Shine through the tunnel and put over the top if you want.
And there's your...
That's really smooth. I think it's pedestrian exits. Obviously you can go through down.
That's obviously accessible from the inside as well.
Yeah, we can come back out.
So you can see here as well where an old gate or whatever it was has been dumped down here. So that's been replaced at some point. That's clearly what's up there now isn't the original barricade. Right, and then across the way here you've probably seen this rather junky cement structure hiding in the ivy. That's the German rock crusher that I was mentioning to you before they used, or the base for it. Obviously the rock crusher itself, the metal mechanical part of it's been removed. That was taken back with the same metal drive that took all the guns and stuff out of HO2, but that's the base for it there. Massive structure, and they use that to cross all the shale from these two tunnels and turned it into concrete. But there you go. Massive structure again though, very efficient. Probably what helped them so lay their concrete so thick down here, because access down here wouldn't have been easy back in the 40s. So right, so we'll move our way down now to the entrance for HO1 and go from there.
I think that was going to be a third exit or entrance behind there actually.
Oh, okay.
But in the book it talks about the third entrance, I think it's down here.
Right, this is HO1, another relic of its commercial use is here. The in-out little board there, the Germans wouldn't have been using that. But this is much easier going. There's a section down here. Oh look, the old electronics. Old meets new there. That's an interesting concept. But there is a section of this that isn't finished, but this is far more finished than the previous tunnel.
2-inch steps, so it gets quite well done. The railways, more importantly, the platforms and tracks. I think there's a platform that goes there as well.
So is this going to actually have like proper like mechanical steam-powered trains, or is it always going to be like pushed?
I don't know.
So would you imagine with the platform it'd probably be more mechanical, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So there's a van there. Back there. So how come there's a hole cut in?
The tunnel goes around and you can exit. I've been here where you could exit here. That's fairly recently been put there. So you have to go in that way and come back the same way.
Right, so that van's obviously owned by someone who's renting the area at the minute. Oh, there's some lighting up there, a little green light of some description.
Yeah, they have lights on the people lights on the office. They don't mind you coming in, the guys that you exit. We just say that from the back part of this.
Right, this one, it's like HO4, it has a train platform which we're about to come up to. They're actually using it for storage by the looks of it.
This tunnel has a feel that you find in Snowden, I find.
Yeah.
It feels the same in terms of how well functioning.
Yeah.
I don't think there's parts of the there's some light.
Is that the good side of the van then?
That goes into where that van we saw was.
There's like a railway platform there. How cool is this?
There's an air shaft there, look at the side of the platform.
Yeah.
So these, take it these obviously aren't the Germans' water bottles, so how did these get there, I wonder?
Some guy comes in every day.
This is actually, you can see there's actually damp marks on the ceiling there.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about this tunnel, and this may show you is just how dusty it is. There's just dust everywhere.
It's like second lot of rails on top of the platform, which is interesting. It's another section there, that's not accessible.
I think it's better than
That's some very old electrics. I'm not sure that's going to be working anymore. I'll show you how rusty that is. Look at that. Where's that torch? You can turn it back on. Lydia. Right, so that's the old electrics I was telling you about there. So, a bit worse for wear. It's been here since the 60s. I'm not sure whether you'd want to run electricity through it now, to be honest. There's another area there where the door's been broken, look. So there's another storage area. Looks like a cooling fridge. So HO1, as you can see remnants of its commercial use. But you can also see it's an interesting concept. It's not very often you see like the modern along with the aged. I mean, look at that. That is so rusty. You wouldn't want anything electric going through that anymore. But once upon a time, it was obviously a main part. That's it's amazing. A lot more damp marks in here. You are actually, when you're working in here, if you're in the area, you actually have to drive inside here. It's obviously far more stable than HO2, which is not finished. This is the other end of the tunnel. Showed you before. Got some electric work and stuff in here. This obviously isn't German, but again, a lot more of the old electrics. And this is the other end of your pedestrian entrance I showed you before. You can see that in the distance. But yeah, you can see there the big chunks of concrete on the floor there. I wonder why they're there. Maybe they're going to run rail down there, some description. There's metal fixings all along the wall. So I've always had cables. Yeah. I'll show you, there's like that running down here at some point. They've now got one in the ceiling instead, but with a sensor in it. But that's obviously far more modern. But these tunnels are a testament really when you think that like they're knocking like on the, well they are this year, these tunnels, it's like 80 years since they started building them. Yeah. And they're still standing strong, although I would say the most questionable thing in this tunnel specifically is the 1960s electrics more than the building. But I have to say, this is probably the most fun Lydia's had in a while. She likes these old tunnely kind of shouldn't be there kind of things, although we know obviously we've got permission because I told you. But we're actually waiting because Paul's wife wasn't too keen on being in here. She didn't feel particularly safe. I'm clearing my throat, so he's just taking her back to the entrance, which is fair enough. This kind of stuff that we're doing isn't for everyone. I'm sure a lot of you at home who are watching this, there's going to be some of you that would be thinking, oh yeah, I really want to go and do that. And especially to you guys, I would say, especially as far as HO2 is concerned, don't. HO1, ask the guys who work in here, get permission. From what Paul says, they're quite nice. If you do ask them, they normally let you walk around. But yeah, HO2 definitely don't. But there's also going to be the guys sitting at home who aren't so keen on this kind of thing, or are quite happy just to do it and see it from their sofa. And that's absolutely fine. I do it mainly for you guys there, these kind of things, that for you guys who know that this is probably quite dangerous, or it's just not your cup of tea. And for those of you who really enjoy it and do want to go out there and do it, like I say, if you can do it legally, do it. Don't do it legally because it's just not worth the hassle. But these places are truly stunning. We seem to lose the history. This one obviously not so much, but HO2, if it's filled in, there'll definitely be a lot of history lost with that. This tunnel goes on that way. This was an interesting one for what Paul's saying. I'll just wait for him to come back, like I say. But this one's interesting. They concreted this one from the outside in. You can see the light there where Paul's making his way back. Whereas HO2 was a case of inside out, which is why HO2 is nowhere near as finished as HO1. But just stunning engineering involved in doing this. So this was all going to be a munition store. Well, I say was. It did have munition in it. So there was munition seized, confiscated from here in the 40s after the Germans left, in 1945. There's actually another section in here where they've sealed away weapons and stuff. Again in here, a section of tunnel that wasn't finished, where they've sealed away the weapons and dumped them all where people can't get to them. A certain amount of them were taken again with the metal drive of the 50s. But these two tunnels especially were subjected to some awful raiding from the 50s. But, alright, we'll work our way down now. Paul's back. Yeah? Is she okay now?
Yeah.
So, you can see here where that's actually was open and then they've bricked it in.
That goes to the access where the fuel tank is.
Right, okay.
That's never been open since I've come in, and it's locked.
Yeah, it's padlocked, look. So there's no real reason to go in there then, I suppose. So the mushroom guys would have had a key to that when they left. I wonder who the key went to. You can see this bit's become a bit of a rubbish store. Because what we're doing now is we're actually getting to the section of the tunnel where it wasn't actually finished. So as I mentioned to you before, this was done concreted, and Paul mentioned it actually in the last video as well. Concreted the opposite way around to HO2. So they started from the entrance in with that, with this one. On HO2 they started from the outside towards the entrance, which is why the entrance and stuff isn't concreted there, but in here you get to the middle section that's not concreted. But you can see they've tried to kind of protect from rockfalls by lining it with metal. So it must be relatively stable as well.
These pit props from the 1950s, I think they're not original, obviously.
So like pit props like you'd have in a mine, are they?
Yeah.
You definitely wouldn't want them removed, though.
There's a natural spring up here, they've got a pump going on a timer to bail it out.
Okay. There's another section going off that way.
Yeah, that's the main section. This is dead end, but it's worth having a look.
Right.
This is the main parallel tunnel to the one where the platform is. It doesn't look very much, but it opens out.
Right.
So the train platform tunnel is parallel to this one. This is a branch, a northern branch.
Right.
Shall we go over?
Right, so do you want to do the branch first then?
Yeah.
Probably sounds like the best idea, doesn't it? You can see where they've had lighting up here and then it's just fallen down. So is this part of the main section of the tunnel as well over this way?
This is a branch, These branches are massive compared to HO2, much more substantial.
So HO1 goes would have been.
Well, there's these sealed entrances here. There's a rumour, I think it's just an urban myth, that there was a plan, or that the tunnels exist that joins this tunnel to developments under what was the strawberry farm, where the three big bunkers are up there.
Yeah.
I forgot what they're called.
Yeah.
The big one in the field.
Yeah.
Taparu Panico.
Right.
And the two which form parts of people's properties.
Okay.
And the one that's in the new development.
Yeah.
Two there. Actually, there's a third. There's a rumour that either this one or the next one was a continuation of the tunnel up to that area. Because obviously there's no evidence. There was some initial exploration, but it was very deep water. So
They kind of abandoned it.
yeah, bad idea for strong, but who knows?
Because if it's very deep water, the likelihood is then it probably wouldn't be worth the hassle of following it anyway. So you can see there's water on the floor here, actually.
Yeah, it's up here. Oh, it's quite clever. It's not normally this further. I wonder if there's pumps big enough.
Yeah. I can't go much further because I'm in trainers, so I'm going to get drowned feet. But so this is all from a spring then?
Yeah, and that's the seal entrance which you can go through. There's another 100 yards of bare rock tunnel there, and it also goes around to the left.
Okay.
50 yards, so.
Okay.
I've never seen so much water here. And given we haven't had much rain, I think the pump's good enough. The pump's... Yeah.
Right.
That's the filtration device.
Right.
It's clear, not working.
So that's going to need repairing then.
This is what we're going to dry.
So the pump's going to need repairing then.
Yeah, I might come and see it on the way home.
Right, so this is, where are we at?
That's just a dead end storage unit.
Oh, the storage area. So this probably would have been one of the areas where they had munition in it. Because I know they started moving munition in before the tunnel was finished, didn't they?
I'm not too certain actually what the tunnel is for, but I think the one over was going to be the main munitions tunnel, because would be with the blast wall and everything.
Right.
And also the fact is there's no rounded corners there, so any blast wouldn't have travelled through the tunnels easily.
Yeah.
All these tunnels here are rounded from the main plants.
So this is obviously just being used for storage now, commercial storage.
It's actually right there.
This is all just commercial storage now. They're far more extensive than they look from the entrance, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like the entrance and the descent down the hill. This looks like an episode of Scooby-Doo with these machines.
You got them to come alive, yeah. You can see again the layers.
Yeah, they're just planks and the shutter.
That's,
But they're beautifully finished. If Nazi architecture would be called beautiful, very accurate. And they've all got their built-in drainage on this. All the tunnels drain out. HO5 drains from the main entrance to the entrance in the estate.
yeah,
Every single pathway.
yeah. I think Lydia just knocked something.
Something. And I think this one is the same. That drains out.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
It's not draining out.
Yeah, a bit sort of. So the metal on here, I'm guessing this is where the original electrics ran, piping on the top.
I don't think that is a original, but I'm guessing you're right.
But that's definitely not going to be working now. But
And all the times I've come through here, I've not noticed anything different. I don't think I've just stored anything down here now. It's all forgotten.
because I was told that for a while, back in the early 90s, for you who are aware, at home you'll know, but I was told back in the early 90s when they took away the cable cars you stepped to Fort Regent, the cars themselves, until they decided whether actually to do away with them properly or not, were actually stored in HA5.
I'll stay with them. It's cool.
Which was interesting.
You probably do remember the cable cars here.
Yeah.
You were too young, I do.
Oh, I was born in 1982, so I was fortunate enough to get to see them, but yeah.
I was born in 1966. 1982, so
there's all that.
gosh, you could be my son legally. You could be my grandson.
But yeah, I think it's quite interesting as well, is that like you say, you were born in the 60s and the 70s, a lot of this still wasn't sealed up, it was still quite open, even down like the bunkers and stuff and the sand dunes. And
I mean, I used to rock climbing, so bunker passes and they land.
so where's that one go?
Dead end.
Another it's like a dead end storage, is it? Oh, I see, right, okay. Yeah, I wonder how...
They kind of fan out like this.
Yeah.
As you've got the main tunnel, then they're like fronds of a leaf, they go out and around.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I mean, there's like stuff that's... So like when I did the HO5 filming as well, it's like there's an old shed And it looks like it's been there since like at least the 1950s, if not longer, in one of the rooms.
The funny thing, there's something to do with the old Bessie bikes, actually. When Joe Smith was running down the House Park, I think he stored his bikes there over winter. HFIs, I haven't been in for a long time. I found it a bit disappointing. Quite a lot of the tons of closed off, aren't they?
I think there was 2 sections I couldn't go in, the rest of it's all open now.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
There was one with like a big wooden door on it. You couldn't get in, I don't know what that was for. And there was another one that had the metal door and it was padlocked. But the rest I was actually able to get into.
Okay.
There's a gentleman, I don't know who it is, who does Jersey War Tours, he calls it, Jersey Bunker Tours or something.
Yeah.
He operates out of there as well. So.
Are you filming about it?
Yeah. It's very commercial, again. So it seems to be the thing that, like, what the States have done was with the ones that were reasonably safe, they've taken the safe areas and they've kind of used them as lease space.
Yeah, they've done places like all in one other side, like the Tadwell Court and the other, and also the German observation tower, of course, there is now accommodation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can rent it out. That's quite very nice. Quite a load of the same German observation tower going in.
Yeah, it looks more like a air landing tower now with a little metal bit on top.
Yeah, it does.
But then it's like the Corbière station. It looks a bit odd now because the person who owns that as a house, they've put that random glass bit on the end and it doesn't work.
It doesn't at all. It's a juxtaposition of the modern and the old, and it just doesn't work like it's too much of an abrupt thing. That German observation tower used to be used by Jersey Coast Guard years ago, and then they moved it out.
Right. We're going to move a bit further down here. I'll do some filming when I get further down. It's a bit further down the tunnel. We've got another storage area here. Massively open area. This, if I remember correctly, is the exact area where, I'll put the picture in if I can find it, it's in the CIOS book, where they were showing you whether this was being sealed up and they had 2 cars parked here, the truck park here. Yeah. Because they sealed away some of the ordnance and stuff in here as well, didn't they, in the 40s?
I'm not certain, but it's a big area, and this is the escape shaft.
That's quite, I see what you mean when you said it's quite iffy.
If you come up here, just watch your feet.
I don't trust my trainers, they're quite slippy.
So if you turn the torch off, you turn that torch off for a second.
Yeah?
Oh, not today. Normally you can see the light up there. You have to get a little bit further. As far as the stairs, and you can see the light from.
But you can see the lads has had better days.
You can actually climb up on the rock if you're confident, but then you get to a horizontal section, and there's a vertical shaft. And the only way out of the vertical shaft is to climb the original German ladder, and at the bottom it's detached, so it's really wobbly.
Yeah, it's not clearly nowhere near as reliable as it would have been in the 40s when they put it in.
Well, if there was a ruffle tonight, I'd definitely go back up that way.
Would you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think panic was setting quite quickly. Yeah, I'd risk breaking my neck.
But then, yeah, the thing is, though, in emergency situations, you think you had to pull off stuff you wouldn't be able to normally, don't you? But like, there's so much stuff left on the floor even now from, I'm guessing some of it's from back then, some of it isn't, because these look like those 1950s supports we saw.
Yeah, clearly this is the last couple of years, they just thrown over the wall.
This stuff isn't, but yeah.
That's why I think this tunnel, although it's larger and it's better finished than, to an extent, HO1.
Yeah.
2. I prefer HO2.
Yeah.
This is just full of debris and rubbish, and it feels like it's kind of still being used, but it is still being used.
Yeah. It loses the kind of history feel to it because it's
like this, the brick and everything. Obviously,
it's very out of sync with the rest of the thing. So there is obviously something on the other side of there. We just don't know what that is.
I think it's one of their workshops. Yeah.
Because they've kind of helped themselves into purposing it into things. So of course it's not the layout. I don't know what you mean. Like it's like the layout in HO2 still feels very much original because it hasn't been touched.
No,
with the HO1 layout, it's been tampered with to meet the needs of what they wanted to use it for. The human intervention hasn't helped it. So this is the sealed bit then. That's a lovely big hole that's been whacked in there. But that took some whacking and all, didn't it?
And the reinforcements is lumps of granite. Once you feed, there's bottles everywhere. It's mostly okay though.
Oh, so this is that old truck you were saying about, isn't it?
Yeah.
What?
It's not German, it's Allied. It's right-hand drive and fighting on Tunnel.
So was this English than this truck, was it? Was it actually from there back then, though?
I think it's after the war, and presumably used either to aid the clearance of the tunnel or whatever, and it's just been dumped.
So this obviously was in one piece when it was put here.
Yeah,
And you can see where the tunnel it came probably in through
yeah.
has been sealed. And that's clearly not driving anywhere again.
I don't think it's a runner.
It's not even a fixer-upper, is it?
No. It's seen better.
But, which one is this?
Just watch the last one, please.
Okay,
Right,
show you this. See, it's, well, so it's worse for wear, it doesn't cover it really, does it? So this is all, this truck's been down here, like Paul was saying, since,
I'm guessing 70 years. I know someone who would know more about this than me. A guy who used to work at the police station. He's actually written a two-part account of the liberation, Mark Hamilton.
yeah.
And, is it Mark Hamilton? Yeah, Mark Hamilton. And, he knows a lot about this particular tunnel.
Okay,
And also a little bit about this vehicle. He's been here himself.
oh, that's cool.
No, not Mark Hamilton.
Right, so we'll move our way further down anyway. So we'll go further down the tunnel now. You can just show you, by the way, there's quite a lot of glass in the floor here, so you have to be very careful.
Yeah, what's the truth?
I take it these are, were they old 1950s bottles or?
This part of the tunnel's history has just been used as a dump. They're not Napoleonic or anything. They're probably just brandy or pulls or.
You have to think how much they must have, how they were like caught, like bringing their rubbish down here. There was one hell of a party for that amount of glass bottles.
Yeah.
But so you can see this one's part line then.
In places, this one, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a part line section there. Looks like it's been done again, separates it from another store area. Probably for someone who's renting out. And this one's very much become a bit of a rubbish store, unfortunately. That's an old fire extinguisher.
2017, 2019, so this was commissioned in 2009. Quite recent.
So this thing goes around and meets the lined area again, does it?
It does, but there's a huge section on the right that goes all the way back.
Look at this. This is what, walking down the other tunnel before, I wasn't filming at the time, these big metal sections here, these rusty sections, Paul was just saying, just be careful, they'll take your eyeball out. We're not sure what they're for. Guessing probably for holding wire.
I think they're temporary cable trunks
But
for pneumatic or electric cable.
so probably used in the building.
To keep them off the floor, you know.
All right, so it's part of the building process.
Yeah, I'm discussing.
And there's some plastic sheeting here. And you got a dead end that way.
That's right by the entrance. We're only about 50 yards from the entrance down there.
Oh, okay.
So it's come all the way back.
Right, and then that bit is...
That's where my wife was pointing out that truck behind the building.
Right, okay.
If you weren't aware of the layout of this, I
Yeah.
think you'd think you were wandering for miles, but actually, it's just a big loop.
Yeah.
It's actually not spread out as
Not as complicated as it would seem.
I remember when I first brought the back guys in here, they hadn't been in HO2 before, and we came in early in the morning, like 2 or 3, and they thought this place was just enormous, but actually, it's just a donut shape with trim trees going off.
So you've kind of got the map in your head of where you are.
I'm not as, yeah, I know both tunnels well, but
Yeah.
another one of those.
That's another dead end, is it?
Yeah, we do.
There's quite a few of those.
Don't kick it down, put the whole place up.
That's the thing though, you don't know, do you, with those? When it comes to the support poles and things. So we've got a tunnel kind of splits here. So we've got a section down this way, and then you've got a section going straight ahead of us.
It's some kind of natural mineral. It might even be asbestos being secreted down the rock. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Seems fairly harmless. I don't think it's living.
Yeah. It's all bigger patches there too, look. These tunnels are like Paul says, they seem like they go on forever, but it's just the shape. Again, you've got another dead end down there.
You know, it's the way that all bills. So if there was a blast coming up here, they're all against the blast. They're going the wrong way. If
Right.
they were that way, the blast would go up the sides, but now the blast will have to go around the corner.
Alright.
I think that's the way that's the reason why they're built like an arrowhead, aren't they?
So you could kind of avoid the blast if there was
I
one.
think that's part of the design, yeah.
Oh,
To
okay.
build them that way rather than that way, or right.
Yeah, 'cause another favourite thing of the Germans when they were building stuff was to make the little, what looked to a lot of people now, they're looking around the bunkers and stuff, they just look like random pipes, but what they were is for them to drop a grenade through and then still be safe on the other side of the wall.
Yeah.
They thought of kind of like every eventuality before they built something, didn't they?
People thought, because of their behaviour and their outrageous goings on during the Second World War, the Germans were somehow stupid. God.
But I think that,
Very
yeah,
clever people.
they were actually very intelligent. That's probably why they were so successful with the war. Although the problem with the war was always never. I don't think their intelligence was ever really in any kind of major doubt. It was just. I think as the war went on, Hitler kind of more slowly lost the plot.
Completely. I mean, opening the war from 2 fronts was a big mistake.
He
You know, attack the Soviet Union. Know what you're doing, of course. It's a big country. Well, it wasn't the Soviet Union. Was it the Soviet Union?
Yeah.
It was Russia, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you see, he made a big mistake is when he double-crossed Stalin, wasn't it?
Was it Barbarossa invasion of Russia?
Yeah. Not too different, to be fair, from current affairs, is it?
The funny thing is, my mother is still alive, was here during the occupation, and she met the Germans, obviously.
Yeah.
She found them perfectly miserable. Most of them didn't want to be here.
I think that's the other thing, is that some people don't realise is that half the soldiers were as much forced into being part of the war as some of the slave workers were.
Yeah. I've heard that cross there as well.
Yeah, this is the one you put in here, like you said, you put one in HO2 as well, didn't you?
That's right. This is the absolute limit of the tunnel here. This is the end.
You can see where they're getting ready to blast again, because there's little holes, blast holes, ready for the dynamite.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just show you guys. Look, see, you've got little blast holes, see, like that? There's where they would have put the dynamite, blown away whatever rock came away, and then cleared that away, done the same thing again. It was just an ongoing process. Very skilled to know where to put the dynamite, and very heavy labour to remove the rock.
I've cleaned this up. I've been here with kids and left bottles of Coke and crisp wrappers just sitting here. Pretty crazy place to have a picnic.
Just show you there, because you can tell this isn't finished. Let me look how close this is. I go like that. Look how close this is to my head.
Yes.
You know.
Not much.
But and you can still see the water ingress here, look, and the rock.
And mud, look, there's been some topsoil down as well.
So this is obviously why it was lined, for these reasons.
Yeah, this needed further excavation clearly. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
Well, it's only for concrete, it's going to be down to here, isn't it?
piece of wood there, look. That's well wedged in.
Okay, that's it for this one.
Yeah. Right, that's the end of the HO1 video. I forgot to film an ending. So that's what we're doing now, but it does give me a chance to tell you a few things that I forgot to mention in the video anyway. One is that there's 3 other tunnels you can actually access and get into, but you need permission because all 3 are owned by different persons. So one's owned by Jersey Waterworks, which is HO4. One's owned by Jersey Electricity, which is HO20, and one which is HO19. Access is granted only by the gentleman who owns Jersey Wall Tunnels. I'm in the middle of talking to all 3 of them to see if I'm allowed in to video those for you. So as and when I get access to those, they'll pop up on the channel, so you have to keep your eyes peeled for those. If you subscribe, that's probably the easiest way with notification bell on. Then what you'll do is when new videos pop up, you'll get told, and then you go, aha, there it is, and that'll be that problem. On a slightly different note, what we're going to be doing now, obviously, because there's a lack of tunnels to film, because there are other ones, none of which you can access though. So if you want me to make a video just showing you where the other tunnels were, I can do that for you. There's 2 other tunnels in case anybody in the comments mentions it, because someone might do. There are technically 2 other tunnels you can access, which is HO13, 15. You can't actually go in those, they're on private land. One's sealed as far as I believe, which is HO13, because it floods like up to your neck floods. And HO15 is very much on private property. If I ever get access, that'll be a miracle. But if anybody ever invites me to go and do that, I'll do that. I'm not going to go knocking on people's literal house doors to get access to tunnels. If you want me to follow up with this with bunkers and whatever though, because there's plenty more German fortifications around the island and the stories behind those, not a problem. So let me know in the comments if you want that to be done. Otherwise, we're back to the finishing off the Western Railway, so we'll be working our way up as of next week from Snowburn up to Corbière, and then from there I haven't thought that far ahead. That's my fault, I apologise, but I've got a bit of time yet, so we'll work it out. Until then, like I say, do subscribe and get notified, because then you'll know the new bits and pieces pop up. And thank you for watching all the videos and supporting the channel. It does mean a lot to me. And yeah, I'll see you next week back on the railway.